Well, good evening, everyone. It is about 10 to 8. Slow day today. Not really much going on today, and there's a jazz game on, so I thought we'd be a little busier, but I guess shows you what I know. So, anyway, yeah. So, one of the things I've been nerding out about lately is, and I don't know why, because, I've always had this weird, I think it's because both my parents are lawyers, and so I just have always had this weird, obsession with law. I think when I was 7 years old, I, wrote this book about, the laws, trying to be all, intelligent with it, and, I'm sure it would just embarrass the hell out of me now, but, yeah, I've been nerding out, listening to I actually did this while I ate lunch today. I was listening to oral arguments, because there are websites that have oral arguments in certain cases, and so yeah, I've just been sitting there listening to all these oral arguments. I was listening to the oral arguments in Lawrence versus Texas, and just kind of nerding out over it, and yeah, I don't know why I'm into it. I feel I sort of feel ashamed about it, I'm one of those fake intellectual types that likes to listen to things he doesn't really understand and then pick them apart. But I do. I'm into it. I'm into this sort of I don't know, just this whole, all this legal stuff, this analyzing the law backwards and forwards and having these sort of, and it's interesting to me to listen to arguments in that way, because it isn't, it's probably as far removed as you can get, to the degree that you can ever get removed from it, from the political process. It's so not political, and I mean, it probably is, but people are actually trying to make rational arguments and have a discussion and say things that are, substantive and about something and based in the law and in precedent and in, I don't know, just our culture and our history and all kinds of things. And it's really fascinating to me. It's so much more interesting to me than listening to Bill O'Reilly scream at somebody about, and I like O'Reilly. I don't know why. I have a soft spot for O'Reilly. I sort of don't agree with him on a lot of stuff, but I like him. I can't help myself. I think a lot of people do. He's an easy person to like. That's what I would say about him. But, and because I used to for a while, I'd watch that kind of Fox News stuff and listen to him go back and forth and argue but it's so, I don't know, there comes this weird point where it's just this isn't going anywhere. It's just, you get people screaming at each other and it's not going anywhere. And then you listen to these Supreme Court arguments. And it's this is how you do it. This is how you put together an argument, And they're never, I mean, Stephen Breyer said once, he said, I've never heard a voice raised in anger. And I wonder if that's true, because I mean, I'm told that there are some cases where it's happened, where they really get into it. But you listen to the oral arguments in a lot of these cases, and they're talking. I mean, it is an argument. They are having an argument. But it's completely calm, it's unemotional, nobody talks over anybody or shouts anybody down. It's the most amazing fucking thing to me. And I've always been so fascinated with it. And I know, the bitch of it is, I know I don't have what it takes to make it through law school. I couldn't get through law school to save my life. If somebody put a gun to my head, if somebody went all Fight Club on me and went, get your ass to law school or I'm going to hunt you down in 6 months, I'd never get through law school. I mean, it's just such a ridiculous, it's so far beyond me. That kind of, I don't know, that kind of academic rigor, it's just beyond me. And I know that about myself. So instead I just sit alone and nerd out over these, like listening to the oral arguments in these cases and what was I can never remember the name of the actual case, the famous Bong Hits for Jesus case. I started listening to the oral arguments in that case, and David Souter is my fucking hero, man. The outcome of that case was one that I was not particularly happy with. Apparently neither was David Souter. But, it just, as with all things, it just kind of is what it is. But, God, man, Souter was like, that's ponage. What Souter was doing in that case, I just loved it. It was just, and I didn't get through the whole thing. I had to leave for work at some point and stop nerding out and go be productive. But oh man, what a joy to just sit and listen to. And I know, I think I am a crazy person. Who does this shit? Who sits there and listens to these, Supreme Court oral arguments and just nerds out over them? I don't know. Most people, what's funny is if you said, name the current members of the Supreme Court, and we can, I guess, counting Scalia, since there's 8 now that Scalia's gone, but, most people can't do it. I remember I saw an interview, I think I was watching an interview with Stephen Breyer, where they said, he's one of the ones, 3% of the country knows who he is or something. Most people, if you say the word Stephen Breyer, they're like, yeah, I don't know. And yet, then there's me just nerding out over this stuff. And I need to stop, because it's just so self-indulgent. It never really goes anywhere, but I don't know. I don't know why I get so into it. I don't know why it's that interesting to me, but it really is. And that's the sad part of it. I know I'd never make it through law school. I would last 10 minutes in law school. I don't think I can handle it. But I have thought about getting my paralegal certificate and being a paralegal. And that's something I think I could do. Except, and here's another bitchy thing, if you went into corporate law, even as a paralegal, I think you'd make huge money. Paralegals in corporate law probably do enormously well. Those are the ones that are at the upper end of the echelon there. But I would want to study constitutional law, because that's what fascinates me. Because I have it in my head that even as a paralegal, you kind of specialize in a certain area. And I don't think it really matters, because the substance of it is just kind of here's how to do legal research, here's where to find what you're looking for. But to go into constitutional law as a paralegal, where are you going to wind up? You're going to wind up at the ACLU or something. You're not going to make any fucking money. I just keep condemning myself to never making money, but I don't know. It's got to be done, I guess. I don't know, because I've been hemming and hawing for a long time about this, am I going to go back to school thing? And yeah, I don't know. I worry about, could I even get through a paralegal? Could I even, because, this whole working and going to school thing just doesn't seem to fucking work. And I guess option B is pull out enough loans to get through it in a year, which I think I could do. I don't know, I just need to get online and hem and haw about this stuff a little bit, that's all. I just wish to God there was somebody I could talk to. And I feel I don't know, my mom and my sister would do their usual thing of trying to be helpful and being completely unhelpful. And I am once again behind a really slow fucking person. I do not know how this happens to me. Someone should do a study on why I'm always behind the guy going 25 miles an hour. And then he changes lanes. One's just oh, I'm not in front of Clayton anymore, so now I can be in the lane I really want to be in. I don't know, god damn it. Oh well. So, yeah, obviously I just need to get online and dicker around with all this stuff, and I haven't really done a lot of it, but, I don't know. And that's the other thing, I think, because obviously, right now, if I'm just kind of indulging in this idea of doing stuff because it's interesting, I can just do stuff because it's interesting. But as a paralegal, I'd actually have to do, I suspect a lot of it would be boring. I suspect a lot of it would be really, really boring. Like whatever you went into, you would just spend a lot of your time doing this kind of really dry, legal research that would make you just kind of go, But I don't know. So, yeah. And I do think about, when I think about sitting in an office for 8+ hours a day, every day, it does kind of just make me go, But I don't know, it could be okay. And if I were doing something that was interesting and I were sitting in an office but I was like absorbed in something, I don't know. I think whatever, I think the thing I could say is that whatever my feelings were about it, it would beat the hell out of delivering pizzas. Because delivering pizzas fucking sucks, and I'm over it. God, I don't know, maybe it would have been smarter for me to go for the paralegal in the first place, you know what I mean? Maybe I should have just gone to college, gotten my generals out of the way, and then, gone for my paralegal instead of my fucking English degree. Like, what the hell am I ever going to do with an English degree? I don't know. But, I don't know. Water under the bridge, I guess. I just, I keep thinking there's got to be some way to put my, weird little obsessions to some good use. That's the problem, It's like, all this, sitting around and, reading case law, and I've done that. I sit and read judgments, and it's kind of, fine, but it doesn't get me anywhere. It isn't and here's a way, being a paralegal, at least, is and here's a way to make money nerding out over law. Why in the hell are we going... Oh, God damn it. Why am I always behind these people? Seriously. It makes me insane. Why am I always behind these people? Anyway, sorry. We're apparently going to go 30 miles an hour up 9th East because that's just what we're doing tonight. Oh, Lord almighty. God. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, so... That's the thing, I've always nerded out over things and been oh, I like this, and this is really interesting. But then it's okay, but how do you make money at it, And that's the thing I need to get at. That's the thing I need to start thinking about. Making a living. Because I just... Yeah, you can't make a living just nerding out over things. And you can't really make a living nerding out over law, but again, I feel like if I could just kind of focus it a little bit, get a direction on it, I don't know. It's a thing that I need to at least think about. And I've been talking about it for a while now, and I'm really tempted to just register and take one class. To just say, I think I'm going to do this. I think I want to do this. Just take one class. I feel like I ought to be able to handle one class as much as I have spent so much of my life beating my head against school, really sucking at it, really not being able to discipline myself to do the fucking work. I feel like I have done this so many times. This ought to be a thing I can do. Take one class, deliver pizzas. That's a thing I ought to be able to do. I don't know. It just... it makes me crazy sometimes just thinking about it. Thinking about how hard school is and why it's that hard. I don't know. And then, how hard it is for me to get anything done when I'm working all the damn time. But, again, I digress. I need to just kind of pull my head out and get to it, I guess. Anyway, I am going to grab myself some dinner, go home and watch Stranger Things. That is going to do it for me tonight, and I will be back tomorrow.